Hello and welcome to the third installment in what is a major service on my recently purchased 2010 Volkswagen Golf GTI. And in the last episode, I ended up doing a little bit more than I anticipated, which originally I thought I was just going to take out the transmission and replace a rear main seal. Then I ended up replacing the clutch and flywheel as well. And in this episode, well, back to the engine again, and I'm going to be doing a little bit more to that as preventative maintenance. And not only that, but who knows what kind of work has been done on this vehicle in the last 259,000 kilometers. So I'm going to be doing a carbon clean on the engine here. So I'm going to be taking off this intake to get to the intake valves on the engine, and then doing a carbon clean, also a fuel injector service, and then not to mention replacing the diaphragm here on the PCV system, and then doing, of course, the spark plugs, and also doing a compression test to see how healthy this engine really is. Now, another thing I noticed while looking at this engine a bit in more detail was that there was another leak here at the vacuum pump. Now, this is very common on pretty much all Audi Volkswagen products at some point that they will leak, but I think that in conjunction with the rear main seal leak, that's why I had so much oil at the bottom of my vehicle, because it's pretty bad. It's really hard to see at the bottom here, but yeah, it looks pretty grody. So I will be replacing that. Before I deal with that vacuum pump, I first need to tackle the carbon cleaning and, of course, the fuel injector cleaning as well. Having done a carbon cleaning on my 2015 Audi A4 Allroad, removing the intake on this engine is pretty much exactly the same as that one, as they are almost identical. The intake removed, this is what you see. So you have your fuel injectors, which go in these little ports down here under each cylinder. And this is cylinder 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's take out this little divider here. As you can see, that's pretty gummed up with carbon. So here is what cylinder 1 looks like. It's hard to see on camera, I do apologize. But yeah, you can see it's pretty gummed up with carbon on the intake valves. So all but one valve is closed. This one here, number 3, is open, so I have it taped off for now. And then I'm going to use, referred to as my dentistry tools, to remove the carbon, at least most of it. And then use this attachment here that goes on the valves with a walnut blaster to remove all the excess carbon. So this is all the stuff I got with the pick. That's not including the stuff that I had to vacuum out of each of these intakes here. So now it's time to use the walnut blaster to get out the remaining carbon buildup in each of those intakes, and I can turn over the engine to get that last cylinder. So here's the fuel injector, and I'm going to do a service to this. I'm going to replace the seals at the top here, and then also this one here at the bottom, and not to mention just give it a good clean. Okay, so I removed all the old seals here at the top, and this one here at the bottom here where the nozzle is. Get the new seal on the bottom end of the fuel injector. I'm going to use a special kit, which the first piece here is this sort of cone-shaped piece, which I already have the new seal on the bottom end here pushed onto it. And then using this tool along with this cone piece here, I'm basically going to push the seal onto the injector. I have the seal on there, so I'm just going to push it in like so. And as you can see, it's now on there, but now I have to get this basically shrunk so it's nice and tight towards the fuel injector. So I'm basically going to flip this one around, and once again, just go like this, and there we go. So now there's another step. I'm going to use another one of these to get this on there. So this is number 2, and it's a little bit tighter on there. I'm just going to put on the new seal here at the top, and there we go. That's it. It's done. With all the fuel injectors now serviced, meaning I replaced all the seals, it's now time to clean out where the fuel injectors are. I'm just going to use this little brush here that came with the kit and clean out all of the holes there, and then just vacuum them out, and then just reinstall them. With the fuel injectors now in and serviced, it's time to put these plates back in. And now that they're all clean, much better than they were before. And now it's ready to install. And as you probably noticed over here, I actually removed the oil filter because that is really annoying to get around. So rather than fight it, I'd rather just get rid of it. The intake manifold now on, it's time to tackle the next issue, and that is the diaphragm inside the PCV system. I'm trying to be extremely gentle, but at the same time it's being rather difficult. Okay. I got it off and it looks to be pretty much brand new. Looks like someone already was in here and did this. Looks like a genuine part as well. Genuine Volkswagen Audi part. Well, I've already bought a new one, so I might as well replace it. Okay, here's the new one. And I just checked the spring. This one seems to be a little bit longer, just ever so slightly than the old one, but that's okay. The important thing when putting this back on is that this, basically this air hole goes in the same direction that was before. With the engine now topped up with oil, it's time to do a compression test. And as you can see here, I already have my compression tester set on cylinder 1 and have it set to 0. So now it's time to crank it over. Okay, cylinder 1 here is about 13 bar. I believe between 12 and 14 is considered to be really good, meaning that it's still fairly new, at least in terms of engine quality. So that's really good. So that's only cylinder 1. Now let's see what we get on cylinder 2. And as I'm taking out the old spark plugs, I will be replacing them with new ones, even though the new ones here are not that much different, to be honest, but it's just preventative maintenance. New spark plug on there with a little bit of grease, and we should be good. Okay, this is number 2 here, and as you can see, it's the exact same as number 1. So now it's time to do 3, and then the final one, 4. Okay, this is cylinder 3, and it's just slightly above 13 there. All right, one more to go. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the last cylinder here is just slightly under 13, so that's not bad. I would say this is all within 10% of each other, and then I don't have to worry. At least it's still wearing nicely for having 259,000 kilometers on it. A last item to replace on the agenda are the seals on the vacuum pump here. Now, in order to remove the vacuum pump here, I'm gonna have to remove the fuel line that goes from the vacuum pump housing, and then also a bunch of T30 torque screws. That's with the vacuum pump removed. And as you can see, all the oil built up on the side of the engine there, it's all because of one gasket. And I'm sure the cam journal at the top of the engine here is also leaking a little bit too. So now I'm gonna get that cleaned up and also replace the gasket that goes between the engine and the vacuum pump, and then also a bunch of other seals on the actual vacuum pump itself. But the surface is all clean here. I have a new seal here on the sensor, and then also a new seal on the cam follower right here. And now it's time to install the vacuum pump. So reinstalling this, gonna be really careful that this lines up. Okay, that clicked in sort of. Now it's time to put these T30 screws back in. Well, it's been a long night and I have everything put back together, so now it's time to fire this thing up to make sure it runs like it should. Sounds good to me. Well, I think that's everything complete on this vehicle. I've done quite a bit over the last few videos. I've done the timing chains, I've done the rear main seal, and of course the clutch and flywheel, which was a bit unexpected, but also just doing a bunch of little small things here and there just to get it back to where it should be. And having done this major overhaul, this vehicle should definitely go well surpass 259,000 kilometers and even to the 300. So I want to say thank you very much for watching today's video. If you did enjoy it, please be sure to hit the thumbs up button and also consider subscribing if you haven't done so already, so that way you don't miss any future videos like this and also other car projects and reviews on my channel. And until next time, take care. Bye now.